Good afternoon, everyone. I have one good news and 4 bad news for you. The good news first. Okay, the good news is very simple. In all likelihood, you will all live to 100 years or more. 100 years. Now, I am 73 this year. I'm expected to live to maybe 90 or more. So you are all much younger than I am. So it's a safe bet that you will all live to 100 years. This is the good news. Now, the bad news. There are many bad news. I have grouped them under 4 headings. Number 1, you are unprepared. Number 2, you may not have enough money. Number 3, there will be a lot of obstacles. And number 4 is really important. It has to do with your meaning of life. Okay, let me say something about each of them. Now, first, bad news, unprepared. I can say that you are unprepared because the whole world was and has been and still is unprepared. A bit of history. In the last century, from year 1900 to year 2000, humankind as a whole has increased its life expectancy by 30 years. 30 years. Now we know what makes it came about. Increase in productivity and standard of living, advancement in science and technology, improvement in public health, and advancement in medical sciences. Well, we all know about this. And it is likely that in this century, 21st century, human life expectancy will increase further. But in the last century, although towards the end of the century, we all have noticed that people are living longer and longer. But at that time, we did not realize that the change, that the increase has been so dramatic, 30 years in 1 century. So we were all unprepared. Another indication of the unpreparedness of this is the lack of books or forums to talk about the 100-year life. Have you come across any book or forums on the internet to discuss how people should live for 100 years? Very, very few. And it is only in recent years that a series of books have been published bearing the title 100-Year Life. And most recently, advocated by Stanford University, the idea of a new map of life. For the final proof that we were unprepared is that where did these 30 years go to? Actually, we did not know what to do with these 30 years. So we stacked them all in the final phase of people's life after retirement. And that's why more and more people, when they retire, suddenly I got 30 extra years and do not know what to do with them. Is that the best way to use these 30 years? Definitely not. Actually, nowadays, more and more people are doubting it. But what's the alternative? Now, one way of making good use of these 30 years is to reject the dominant mode of life in the last century, which is known as the free-phase life. Education, work, retirement. Everybody seems to follow it. And you may unintentionally follow it too. Now these phases will still be here, but there will be more phases and sub-phases. And what is more important is that the progression along these phases will no longer be linear. For example, you may need to have some education before you work, but during your education, you may work from time to time or take extended leave, like gap years. You could do that during your education. And in your work life, you will definitely be studying or doing courses or be re-educated again in order to do better in your work. And you may also, during your work life, take sabbaticals. Well, you in the past, it was only university professors who could enjoy sabbaticals with pay. But nowadays, more and more people during their work life are prepared to take sabbaticals with or without pay. And even when you think you have started to retire, you may have to work and study from time to time. So 100 years, very, very different. You could do the simple arithmetic. Now, you will live for 100 years, and there are 30 extra years in this 100 years. It turns out that you have roughly 3 years every 10 years. So make good use of these years in earlier phases of your life. Don't wait till your retirement to enjoy these 30 years. So to sum up, the bad news, number one, is that you have to actively plan and prepare to live for 100 years. So this is bad news number one. Bad news number two, money. You definitely need more money and save more just to live 100 years. Take my example. I sort of early retired at the age of 52. I was not a very rich person. I have some saving. At that time when I retired, I thought, okay, I may be able to maintain my standard of living, say up to 70. Now I'm 73 and I still have maybe 10, 20 or more years to live. And most people, even in the developed countries, the middle class are not prepared for such long life. Most of them, with the pension and savings, may not be able to enjoy a comfortable life for that long. In Japan, which is a country that is aging very fast, there is a new term to describe a particular group of elderly. They call them 下流老人啊，下流賤格下流嗰流，下流不過唔係咁嘅意思。Meaning that the economic status is getting worse and worse as they live longer and longer. So I have one suggestion for you. During your 100 years life, try at some stage to start a business. Start a business. Now, you may think you may not be an entrepreneur. You may not be successful in starting a business. But who knows? Who knows? You should, with 100 years in your hand, try at least once to start a business. You may or may not succeed, but no big deal. And if you succeed, it could help you to multiply your lifelong earnings. So, number two. Number three, obstacles. You will face a lot of obstacles. And these obstacles come in very different form. For example, preconceived ideas, outdated thinking, established institutions who are very slow to change, and government policies. Let's start with government policies. For example, retirement age, pension schemes, elderly benefits, all this, government has a lot of say. But government policies are notoriously slow to change. In many countries in the world now, they are considering raising the retirement age, but not easy at all. Now, Singapore has recently increased the retirement age to 70. And you just observe, how long will Hong Kong take to raise the retirement age? Okay, apart from government policies, institutions like schools or employers are big obstacles. Schools, I said you may want to have gap years in your high school, which would be very good. But would your schools allow you to do it? I doubt it. We have to do a lot of advocacy to shake schools up. And universities may be better. I don't know about your experience, but even at universities, if you want to take gap years, there's still a lot of trouble. But employers are a big obstacles, by far the most important obstacles, because many of us would have a boss. HR departments in any companies allowing staff to take sabbaticals would be a nightmare. They will resist it at any cost. And employers may not like their staff, especially the talented staff, to leave for a year. Would they come back? They call it sabbatical, but they may be gone for good. So employers would have a vested interest not to allow people to take so-called sabbaticals with or without pay. Now, I'm still running a number of companies. I have a good heart. I want my people to have sabbaticals if I can afford it. I did the calculations. Could I allow maybe one employee sabbatical every year? I'm really serious about doing the sums. I can't, despite my intention. So obstacles from employers really, really big. And finally, preconceived ideas, prejudice sometimes, or good intentions. All these could be in your way. Now, if you buy my thinking, you may want to rethink the whole map of your life. But would the people around you understand it? Would they appreciate your thinking and your actions? They may prefer you to have a more conventional life. So all these are obstacles. Good orange, bad apples. Remember them. Finally, the fourth bad news, meaning of life. Meaning of life. Now, searching one's meaning of life is nothing new. People all the centuries have been doing it. But in the past, ordinary people think that, wow, this is a very big issue. And we ordinary people may not be able to come up with any meaningful answers to this sophisticated, philosophical issue. So what did they do? They leave this question to the philosophers. Oh, you think about them. I'm not interested. I'm not capable of tackling this issue. But things are changing. You have 100 years to live. You will be confronted with this issue. Now, living 100 years, there will be good things and bad things happening around you. Hopefully, you have more good things than bad things. But in the real world, bad things do come along. You may see inequalities, a lot of them, injustice, lots of them, climate change, climate crisis, natural disasters, pandemics of all sorts, and loss of freedom, loss of innocent lives, wars, large or small. Okay, all this may happen around you. What could you do? Could you turn a blind eye to them? You may or may not. Or could you do something about them? Also, when you are living for so long, some questions that actually come to your mind. Why should I live so long? Why can't I stop living and take my life now? What could I do with my extra years? And you may also think about what would be the one sentence that summarizes my life when I go away. Okay, you have to do the search and come up with the answer yourself. But I'm here to briefly share with you my journey and what I found on the way. Now, the meaning of life, for me, could be summarized in one simple sentence. It happens to be in Chinese. I'll translate it for you. 一代人做一代事啊. Now, these 7 Chinese characters is very difficult to translate in English. A friend of mine proposed, well, could we say each generation has its mission? Now, that is close, but misses the core idea. 一代人做一代事, the emphasis is not on the 代, on the generation, but on the 人, on the individuals in a specific generation. So my translation of it is something like this. Individuals in the generation has to do what he thinks must be done. This is my translation of 一代人做一代事. Each of us of our generation has to decide what must be done and then take actions ourselves. This is the meaning of 一代人做一代事. Let me give you an example related to Chinese University. Professor Qin Mu was a Chinese philosopher, historian, educator, very famous in China before he came to Hong Kong in 1950, threatening the wars and turmoil in the mainland. When he came to Hong Kong, he got nothing. No money, no connections, no power. In his own words, 手空空無一物. But he has a big heart for promoting and enriching Chinese culture. So he gathered a number of Chinese intellectuals and set up New Asia College. They thought that Chinese culture should enlighten the entire Asia to create a new Asia. That's why we have 新亞書院. And subsequently, we know that this is the classic example of 一代人做一代事. Now, behind this simple sentence are 3 things that you should notice. Number 1, each generation has its challenges, this is for sure. But the individual in that generation may have different understanding and interpretation of these challenges. You and I may not see the same challenge. And thirdly, each of us would have to decide what to do with it. So, 4 apples. Let me sum up. I gave you 1 good news, that you all will likely to live to 100 years. And I share with you 4 bad news. Finally, I'd like to make a suggestion. Please share what you gain from this talk with as many people as possible, including those you love, those you respect, those you want to inspire. Share with them, because all these people are important to you. And these people may become your supporters or obstacles. So we are actually starting a movement here to enable everyone to take a new look at their life. Thank you.